And within a matter of years, I picked up my first professional contract. My career was derailed by ego and being able to restrain myself off the pitch. And then my career came crumbling down in 2012 when I had a heart attack.
It's such an inspiring thing to make it to the professional international stage in any field, but especially sports. Hey, Mark Harvey here. This is this week's Real Life Money Monday. Wow, are you going to be in for a treat? This week, we are going to be deep diving in. So let me bring you a very special panel member this week. Here we go. Reese Thomas, international rugby player. Thank you so much for coming on here. We're excited to deep dive into what you've got for us this week. So first of all, thank you for being on here, Reese.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
Because you're going to be able to get some insight here on a strong mindset and how to deal with challenges and adversity and everything else. So look, this week we have Reese Thomas on here, and it's such an inspiring thing to make it to the professional international stage in any field, but especially sports. And in this occasion, it is rugby. So thank you so much for coming on here, Reese. Just tell us, a little bit about yourself so people might know what questions to start firing this way.
Well, yeah, I'm born in Johannesburg, South Africa. I had a wonderful upbringing. I went to good schools. I only picked the rugby ball up at 14. Loved sport up to that point. A lot of like cricket, swimming, football. But then picked up a rugby ball at 14 at boarding school. Started to get the hang of it about 17, 18. Got the opportunity to come over to Wales when I was 18. My dad was Welsh. And within a matter of years, I picked up my first professional contract, being capped at age grade, international age grade honours with Wales at 19s and 21s. And then I had my first cap when I was 24. Got capped coming off the bench against Argentina in Buenos Aires. And then I went on to have 7 more caps for Wales between 2006 and 2009, where my career was derailed by ego and being able to restrain myself off the pitch. And then my career came crumbling down in 2012 when I had a heart attack.
Wow. And we're going to dig a little bit further into that. But thank you for that introduction. And guys, if you got any questions, especially if you want to, dig into the mindset that it takes. I know a lot of you guys on here watching and listening here are in the property business field. I know you guys, you're running businesses. I know you're growing teams. And I know, especially over the last couple of years, well, always, but especially the last couple of years, a lot of people have come across some adversity and some challenges, which are always occurring. So do get your questions across for Reese, so we can deep dive on that. But okay, so what was the age when you came over to Wales? How old were you then?
18, mate.
Yeah. So growing up, did you ever have any kind of visions or wants of what you wanted to do as either a job or a career?
Literally, mate. I loved sport from a young age, and then I was obviously when I was growing up in South Africa, it was an amazing time, like a lot of transformation. And Nelson Mandela became president in '94. I was about 12 years old at the time. And then in '95, South Africa won the Rugby World Cup for the very first time. I was like a 13-year-old boy. I was like a super impressionable time in my life. It was massively inspiring to see Mandela hand the trophy over to our then captain, Francois Pienaar. And I hadn't even picked the rugby ball up at that point in my life, but I knew at that point right then that I wanted to be an international rugby player. I only picked the rugby ball up that next year at 14. And I had my first international honours at 18, like at under 18 schools, like in a B team called the Academy. And then I had the opportunity to come over to Wales at 18, and I never looked back, really.
So, before, you say you didn't pick a ball up until you were 14. So,
yeah.
what other sports were you into?
I think sport, like, I was super competitive from a young age. So, like, sport allowed me to express myself from a young age. You know, I enjoyed that competition. So, swimming, particularly cricket. I love cricket. And football. I played football. I mean, I wasn't fantastic, but I enjoyed it. Competitive, but and then eventually, like I said, you know, I played tennis, most things, you know. But when I got to high school, then I picked up a rugby ball, and that was it. You know,
Yeah.
I felt comfortable with that sport.
So at that point, did you say, "That's it, I want to play rugby"?
Oh yeah, and the school I was at, you know, like, I'm a big believer of you're a product of your environment, and my high school, you know, gave us some fantastic values. You know, it was discipline, ambition, resilience, and like, to play for our first team at high school was the pinnacle. To put that red jersey on, to run out in front of the whole school. You know, we used to get big crowds at school. It's kind of like the US in South Africa to some extent. Not that huge, not that amount of numbers like the college football, but like in the SA schools, we get good crowds, you know, 5 to 10,000, sometimes a little bit more. But, you know, as a 17, 18-year-old lad, you know, that was all growing up through the school. That was my ambition, you know, to put that jersey on, want to be the stud, want to be the man. And yeah, that's how it was.
Yeah. So that's a lot of people's dream. I mean, I know definitely it was for me, and I know a lot of people that I grew up with, the dream to be able to run onto that field at that competitive world-class stage, and be able to perform and be able to, like, compete to, well, let's leave it at compete, because there's a lot of reasons why people compete, and we might get into that. So okay, so that's kind of where your career started, and then you started you're playing some games and getting some caps and playing at the international level.
Yeah.
So what happened? Like, what was that journey like? Like, what was it like for you going, you know, into this profession?
Yeah, I mean, like, one thing I always struggled with from a young age, even from when I moved over to Wales, which I had questioned a lot, was my professionalism and my lifestyle. Like, could I control, you know, the beast? Could I keep my social enterprises away from the pitch, to you know, get enough focus and enough dedication, because my talent and my ability was unquestionable. My problem was that, you know, I love partying. I loved what off the pitch activities, and you know, I needed to focus to get, you know, to get to that high end, to get international honors. I needed that focus, and I didn't really have it. And then I met my wife, my future wife, now my ex-wife, in at about the same age I signed my professional contract, which was I was 21, and she really gave me the stability, you know, that springboard to be able to reach the heights that I did. Certainly, you know, when I started having kids, and I had that stable home life with my wife, definitely steering that, and it definitely gave me that extra bit of incentive and stability I so badly needed in those young years, you know. But then when I got my first cap at 24, you know, 10 years after I picked the rugby ball up for the first time, there was kind of no looking back. And those first couple of years were they were magic, mate. Honestly, the funnest times of my life. They were just a group of great lads. We had so much fun, honest to God. You know, my wage was going up year on year. I was buying a house, then the car would come in. And once I got capped, then, you know, the recognition, the press, a little bit of fame, and oh mate, it was magic. Like, do you know what I mean? Everything I'd ever dreamed of as a young lad, like everything I ever dreamed of, it was just there. And truth be told, like, I didn't have to put a lot of work into it. I naturally, I was talented. I had the game. You know, it was just about, could I sustain it long enough? You know, to get there was one thing, but to stay there was another thing. And I struggled, mate. I struggled with it when I achieved my goals, was to be able to keep that focus, to press, to want to be and I wanted to. Now, I constantly thought I was better than what I was. I wanted to be better than the number one starting tired in my position. and I believed I was better than him, and I probably was. But the problem was I wasn't prepared to put the extra time in. And I think the saying goes, right? Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard.
Mm.
That was certainly indicative of myself. And that's kind of, I had some fantastic highlights, man. Like I ended up, playing in front of the Principality Stadium, 75,000 people. I played there numerous times, but, during the Grand Slam year in 2008, where we was super successful year, to play against Italy at home, to start that match, fantastic experience. To also then play, I went on tour to South Africa, and I played in a stadium there in Pretoria called Loftus Versfeld, which is about 45 minutes from where I was born. And all my family, my friends from school were there in the stands. And, when I was singing the anthem, I could see them. It was just like this mind-blowing experience. And, we lost that game, but I thought I had one of my better matches in a Welsh jersey. But that was one of my last games. And, just like I said, a matter of years later, I started to get in trouble off the pitch, making the press for all the wrong reasons, getting locked up, doing all sorts of stupid shit. And Welsh management had enough. And when they left me out of the squad in 2009, a massive ego explosion. And, my pride took a big dent, mate. And, it was hard.